crypto is probably the only stable thing in this very dynamic environment.
Okay, we'll come to that in a bit.
Right. So yes, price is volatile. But if you look at the technology, if you look at the fundamentals of cryptocurrencies, limited supply, nothing's changed. It's the most stable thing technology-wise in this whole turmoil situation. So price do fluctuate in US dollar or fiat currency prices. But that's just driven by the macroeconomics. It's the rest of the world that's not stable.
The American consumer is in fabulous shape today.
Well, listen, what's the uncertainty here? I mean, yes, Ukraine. You've given me probably 8 certainties to 2 uncertainties.
So here it is. They're spending 40% more than pre-COVID. They have $1.5 trillion or something like that left in their checking accounts, more than they had pre-COVID. Jobs are plentiful, wages still going up.
Millennials going to your
bank?
Yes. Are they going to fintech? Square?
No,
Are you Square going to beat you?
No, we're getting our share of everybody.
I'm baiting you. You're supposed to take that bait.
Yeah. I said no, they're not going to beat us. But the problem is that money is being spent down now, so it's going to. We think sometime by the end of the year it'll be zero excess balances.
Well, that means good for the
and it's being eroded by inflation. Right. So you can look at that and say, well, at the end of that, you'll have a little bit of a dip, but maybe not.
Positive. Your bank uses. Everyone thinks that NVIDIA, one of my favorite companies, it's all new. You guys have used artificial intelligence throughout. You've been able to catch fraud. You've been able to get rid of jobs that are very difficult, where people are actually talking to machines and they don't know it.
Yeah.
I mean, did your bank? Did you convene a meeting on this? Have you convened a meeting on accelerated computing?
All the time. Years ago, I wrote about it but we actually hired Manuel Veloso, who ran Carnegie Mellon here.
Sure.
Years ago. We have 100 people in research AI. We have thousands of data scientists, machine learning, data folks, and stuff like that. We run, I think, about 300 AI programs.
So you weren't surprised by ChatGPT?
No, we were already doing stuff like that.
Should the Fed be using it?
Contracts.
Would they be better at their job if they were just plugging it in? Should rates be at 6?
I don't think ChatGPT could figure that out quite yet.
But it says all right, we got a $3 trillion base here, which is just incredible, largest in the world. So I know you have to worry about recession. Over the big panoply that you have. Do you tell people, listen, batten down?
I tell people not really. Yes, on certain things, but for the most part, no. But we always have a recession playbook. What you might do with certain credit.
Well, you're breaking it out right here?
You're
breaking out the recession playbook right now.
Not really.
No.
Right now, the U.S. economy, this is the contradiction here.
Okay.
The U.S. economy right now is doing quite well. Consumers have a lot of money. They're spending it. Jobs are plentiful. I think it's fabulous, by the way, that wages are going up for the low end. So I get a lot of complaints from CEOs about that.
Oh, but that's inflationary.
But they haven't had a pay raise for 20 years.
No.
And so, here, our minimum wage is something like the 40th percentile of all Americans, and they get dental and medical and things like that. But it's wonderful. That's today. Out in front of us, there's some scary stuff. And you and I know there's always uncertainty.
Right.
That's a normal thing.
Okay.
This uncertainty is a little bit more than that.
But you think about that. I know that area very well. My family's been here for 175 years. Mm-hmm. That area has not had vibrancy for 65 years. Right. Are you telling me that government did anything to that area? We talk about the government using this, government did nothing for that area. That's why that area is so underbanked and the people are poorer than they should be. J.P. Morgan is more important than the government when it comes to that area. Yeah. Why talk about the government so much? So you're the business source. Business is the greatest source for social change.
Yeah, I totally agree, but we need good government policy, and we got to do it in collaboration. So we're doing a lot of collaboration there. The mayor was there.
Yes, that was great.
You need zoning laws changed. You need inner city schools to teach kids.
And your people will do that? Your branch will do that?
We try to do all of that. We try to get kids jobs. We're hiring ex-felons now. We got rid of college degree required where necessary. Right. But we need government to change the mortgage laws to make them more affordable to people. We need government to do a better job in inner city school education. We need government to do a better job with the zoning laws for affordable housing. So, in collaboration, you can lift up that neighborhood. And you're absolutely correct. A lot of government rules, regulations, requirements, they completely backfire. They have the total adverse consequence to what they were intended to do, but they don't change them. So we need government to be a little more reactive.
Yeah. You need government. Now,
welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, we have CZ from Binance on crypto. And remember, guys, crypto is some of the best technology ever given to man. Why? Because it had the ability to cut out the middleman, cutting out the banks. And we know the banks are the biggest what? I'm going to let you finish that. But remember, guys, technology can be used for good or evil. And what hands are crypto in right now? That's right. We had Jim Cramer interviewing Jamie Dimon. And Jamie Dimon says consumers have over $1 trillion in savings. And by the end of the year, that's going to be zero due to inflation. But remember, guys, last year I did a video and Jamie Dimon said the consumer had over $2 trillion in savings. So, guys, we see how fast inflation is wiping out these savings accounts. And that's the reason why I showed you the Fed data on consumer loans and then also their savings accounts and credit card debt. And we see loans are starting to fall behind, and we're starting to see credit card debt going through the roof. And then Jamie Dimon talks about AI. We've been in machine learning. And then on top of it, Jim Cramer says, yes, people are using your AI without even knowing. And guys, when we look at the fourth industrial revolution, all this new technology, who's funding it? The big banks and big corporations. And they also talked about recession. Guys, we're already in a recession. That's why I tell you, go to the Fed's website. You can clearly look at the numbers. And then we have Jim Cramer and Jamie Dimon talking about opportunity. And guys, we know when it also comes to the banks and city planning, that's why they call it city planning, because they're planning out the city. One side will be flourishing and the other side will have projects. That is all planned. And we know you are your environment. I don't care who you are. If you're in an environment that is flourishing, most likely you're going to flourish. And we know in these inner cities, they don't get to see the opportunity. That's the reason why when you come up out of the ghetto, what the first thing they ask you? How did you make it? How did you get out of there? Because they didn't expect for you to come out. They don't call it a project for any reason. And guys, we're seeing Biden and the politicians throwing around nuclear war. And we know that's all about the fourth industrial revolution. They have to bring about a big enough crisis in order to bring in the robots, algorithms, and drones. And for the people to go inside the metaverse. And we know that Biden didn't show up in Ohio for a reason. So they could play the Hegelian dialectic. We see Trump going in. We know Trump did the deregulation on the trains that helped cause the situation. So in the media, people are picking a side instead of holding all these politicians accountable. Guys, the Hegelian dialectic works every time. And that's the reason why I bring you those Anthony Sutton videos. And he already told us exactly what was going to happen back in the 80s. And how the Hegelian dialectic works and how control of conflict works. Controlling conflict, never resolving anything. So therefore, the sheep fight each other while the NWO move the money in the back door. And remember, the crypto teacher told you because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Agree on the consequences.
I agree it is an Armageddon. It is the risk for the whole planet.
That word first uttered this week by President Biden at a closed-door Democratic fundraiser in New York, where he said, quote, "I don't think there's any such thing as the ability to easily use a tactical nuclear weapon and not end up with Armageddon, the risk of which..."
World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America Last globalists and the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the national security industrial complex. One of the reasons I was the only president in generations who didn't start a war is that I was the only president who rejected the catastrophic advice of many of Washington's generals, bureaucrats, and the so-called diplomats who only know how to get us into conflict, but they don't know how to get us out. For decades, we've had the very same people, such as Victoria Nuland and many others just like her, obsessed with pushing Ukraine toward NATO, not to mention the State Department support for uprisings in Ukraine. These people have been seeking confrontation for a long time, much like the case in Iraq and other parts of the world, and now we're teetering on the brink of World War III. And a lot of people don't see it, but I see it, and I've been right about a lot of things. They all say Trump's been right about everything. None of this excuses in any way the outrageous and horrible invasion of Ukraine 1 year ago, which would have never happened if I was your president, not even a little chance. But it does mean that here in America, we need to get rid of the corrupt globalist establishment that has botched every major foreign policy decision for decades. And that includes President Biden, whose own people said he's never made a good decision when it comes to looking at other countries and looking at wars. We have to replace them with people who support American interests. Over our 4 years in the White House, we made incredible progress in putting the America Last contingent aside and bringing the world to peace. And now we're going to complete the mission. The State Department, Pentagon, and national security establishment will be a very different place by the end of my administration. In fact, just into my administration, it'll be a very different place, and it'll get things done, just like I did 4 years ago. We never had it so good. We'll also stop the lobbyists and the big defense contractors from going in and pushing our senior military and national security officials toward conflict, only to reward them when they retire with lucrative jobs, getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Take a look at the globalist warmonger donors backing our opponents. That's because they're candidates of war. I am the president who delivers peace, and it's peace through strength. There was a reason we had no conflict. There was a reason we didn't get into wars, because other countries respected us. I entirely built, all right from the beginning, rebuilt our military. It's a big reason for that. They didn't want to mess around with the United States, and now they're laughing at us. We could end the Ukraine conflict in 24 hours with the right leadership. At the end of my next 4 years, the warmongers and frauds and failures of the senior ranks of our government will all be gone, and we will have a new group of competent national security officials who believe in defending America's vital interests above all else. Thank you very much.
Mayor Pete, why did it take you an entire 2.5 weeks to actually get here to respond to East Palestine? Will you apologize to the residents of this city for the slow response, to the government's slow response? Do you have any apology?
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
It's Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate. Not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.